Coming up this week on Unpicked. If you're going to talk about science, then it's like a non-conversation.
Science is in such a way that it is either fact or fiction.
Now,
what area do you think is the most dangerous in London right now?
Probably somewhere north.
Okay. Especially when you think about the fact that men have been so used to having a say and being the ones that decide, and then you're now telling them, you lot are trash. You think they're going to take that line down? No, they're not. They're going to say what they want to say.
Wagwan peeps, it's Venom, what you saying? Alongside my home slice, damn me to the zane. When she and I get together on the poddy, ask anybody, the vibes are insane.
Join our family and feel free to come by. We on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yeah.
New drop on the way every Monday at 6.
Tune in and come see what we unpick.
I saw a clip from Piers Morgan's Uncensored show, right?
I've seen 2 clips from him recently. I'm interested as to which one.
It was the one to do with transgender women being recognised on International Women's Day. And they had 2 women on there. One black woman, I forget her name, and a white woman, I forget her name, but I will give them their credit in the description or whatever.
Are they cis women or transgender women?
I believe they were both cis women. The Caucasian lady was supporting why transgender women should be celebrated and recognised on International Women's Day, and the black lady wasn't. And obviously Piers Morgan was agreeing with the black lady. And the black lady said something really interesting that sparked my interest. She was like, back in the day, in order for you to be approved to go through the gender reassignment, you had to be diagnosed with gender dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Which is mental health.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it an illness because it doesn't feel right, you know? But
concern? Mental health?
It was a real health condition. Let's call it that. It's a real health condition. That's how she put it anyway. Whereas now, in today's time, people just have to say that they feel like they want to be something else, and they get to be. And so she was like saying that men, there's two genders. You're either a man or a woman biologically. And so therefore, for that reason, transgender men shouldn't be recognized on International Women's Day. The Caucasian lady was like, she did say there's 2 genders, right? But she also was like, yeah, but if you identify as another gender, then you should be able to celebrate that gender's whatever, right? And it had me thinking about something that I tried to convey when we spoke about it last time, but I couldn't convey. I feel like I have nothing against anyone or even the transgender community at all. But I feel like when it comes to matters of biological women, transgender women shouldn't have a say or a right in those conversations. And I'm beginning to feel like biological women's rights are being tampered with or eradicated by the transgender women. Or woman movement. Because, yeah, that's how I feel. And let's call a spade a spade. A transgender woman is a biological man. And I find it quite interesting that women have been fighting for equality through the feminist movement for so long. And now these biological men have rights over our autonomy and over our human rights and over our equality and over our things. That's the easiest way for me to put it, i.e. International Women's Day. The whole point of International Women's Day is to recognise women, biological women. So, yeah. And I know that people are going to, I know what I'm saying is going to come across, or I'm going to be painted a certain type of way I'm going to be painted as transphobic. But as a biological woman, I'm really starting to feel like, okay, women are fighting for equality and fighting for a say, but we're losing our voice. We're losing our voice to biological men who have, who feel like they should be reassigned into being a woman, or who may genuinely suffer from the gender dysmorphia that originally needs to be diagnosed in order for you to have the change in the first place.
I think that the fact that people can self-identify isn't an issue. It can be abused. It means that it can be abused, but it's not an issue.
Yeah.
But I think that what can present itself as an issue is that being a trans person goes both ways. A man can transition to a woman can transition to a man.
Yeah.
Many women have transitioned to be men.
Yeah.
But women transitioning to be men has no impact basically on men's rights. It has no impact on everybody's understanding of what it means to be a man.
That's right.
Socially or otherwise, whatever that may, whatever way, up, down, whatever. It doesn't change anything for men. It doesn't even afford us the equalities that the benefits that women currently have. So, for example, if you're a trans man, technically, you might still be able to become pregnant. And currently, from my understanding, women can take maternity leave up to, let's say, 9 months or whatever. So now that some women are transitioning to be men, that hasn't made me now able to take 9 months off as a man, if you see what I mean. So there's no change as far as I'm concerned. Women becoming men has made no change to me. But the other way around, I don't know if it's so much that it has changed any significant things, but I think it's the situation of when you have a loud minority, which is what people speak to sometimes. And I think that maybe the community of men that have transitioned to be women are much more vocal in that transition, and in terms of what their thoughts, feelings, and expectations are for women from that point onwards, which is what leads to impact in women's rights or conversations coming up, and where you now feel like, potentially it's impacting your rights as a woman because trans women are now dictating or speaking, or they're holding the position of the voice in certain conversations, which I said would always be an issue if you don't classify someone as trans and having trans be a actual classification and simply make people either man or women and push them into the binaries. Because there is a difference to me personally. And if you don't recognize the difference, then you have to make broader brushstrokes on certain legislations or whatever it may be.
I think you're absolutely right. And I guess as a cis woman, I understand the fight, the feminist fight. That's why I brought it up, because I mean, everyone that knows me and everyone that's been watching this podcast for a while knows that I'm not like the strongest feminist, to be fair. Like there's some toxicity with that, but I think that women have women have done a really long fight. We've had a long fight to get to where we are now. And it's just interesting that biological males are now coming in and trying to take a piece of what we fought for. And I have no qualms with transgender women or transgender men, transgender period, non-binary or whatever, fighting for their own right. But it should be exactly that, fight for your right. And it shouldn't be something that by imposing your right is now reducing or taken away from another group. And I just don't understand why that is so hard for them to get. Because online, if you say anything along those lines, like on TikTok, it's automatically you're against transgenders, you're transphobic, and it's like, no, it's not about being transphobic. You can be and feel like you're whatever, right? But it's not fair. It becomes unfair when you are taken away from a group that has fought so hard for the rights that they already have. And I think that when I spoke before about in that transgender episode, when I spoke about things like forcing women to use gender neutral toilets, for example, and making like, in doing that, you are actually taking certain rights away from women, and those rights are things like safety, privacy.
You're impacting.
You know, most places have a toilet that's already gender neutral. It's called the disabled toilet. Why don't you just change the name of the disabled toilet to the gender neutral toilet or non-binary toilet, and then have, or the other or whatever, and then just still have men and women. And I don't know, maybe people that are not able-bodied might start to feel like their rights are being imposed on. But how far do we go? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it only goes in one direction. It only goes further. It can never go back.
It can never go back, yeah.
Give and then take it back away.
It's tiring. I just never thought. I mean, until I saw those clips from that episode, I just didn't think that transgender women were even trying to get involved or try and be recognised on International Women's Day. You're not a woman. You're a transgender woman.
But I don't believe that there's a transgender day.
Well, then create one. If you want to have your own, do you know what I mean? You want to be recognised. You want to have.
But I think a transgender woman wants to be recognised as a woman, though.
But you're not a woman, because biologically you're not a woman.
Yeah. Well, this is the conversation.
I know, and it's never going to end. Yeah, but you're not. There's two genders.
Yeah, they subscribe to one of them. I mean, to me, if you want to take it into something else to give it a different context, maybe that's more understandable. It's like if you look at Michael Jackson young and then Michael Jackson old, obviously one is like black and the other one is white.
He's still a black man.
He identified as black the whole time, though, but imagining he didn't, and it was a transition for him, and he identified as white in the later part of his career. And then started to impact on the rights of white people from that point on. Would that be right?
But the difference...
That's ultimately
but even biologically, race is a biological thing, right? Yeah, so even biologically, he would still be a black man.
Yeah, I know, but arguably, so are trans people still their original biology.
My argument.
Their biology hasn't changed.
That's my argument.
Yeah.
That's my argument.
Yeah, but that's you can't change that fact. And I remember there was a time when I was talking to somebody about this, and when we mentioned the science part, they said if you're going to talk about science, then it's like a non-conversation, as in there wasn't a point having the conversation. But I was
it's null and void. It's science is in such a way that it is either fact or fiction. And according to biology, you are, and that's why I said biological men. And that I would much rather it be, am I a transgender? Like this whole cis thing, I don't like it. I'd rather just say I'm a biological woman. And you are not. Period. Do you know what I mean? But gender is backed by science, and scientifically, you either have XX or XY chromosome. You can do all the tampering you want to, but that's what you are. If we're going to take it down to gender, you can say you identify as something. I want to be something. I feel like I fit personality-wise into another box, but biologically speaking, this is what I am. And I think people are losing sight of that, and they're trying to turn this whole, I feel like I should be, or I want to be, or I feel like my personality fits. They're trying to turn that into, no, this is what I am. That's not the case. I am a black woman. I will never be and can never be anything other than a black woman. Even if I try and act like it or I feel like I should be, my genetic makeup, they took my blood test and took my DNA, it's going to tell you exactly what I am. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? And I think people are fighting for things that it's and you know what? I'm starting to think that it's so far gone that now they know it's stupid. Because in that same clip, Piers was like, okay, the BBC are trying to teach children that there's 100 genders. One of the genders is something called astronomical something gender, to do with the stars and etc. He goes, what's the difference? I don't even wanna. We can go and do our research later.
I think we should do a whole list
if that is the case, if we're gonna have 100 genders other than man and woman, other than male, female, other than XX and XY, I might as well turn around and say that I'm a black lesbian woman. I identify as a black lesbian woman, so now I'm a black lesbian woman. The woman was like, no, that's absurd. That's absurd. She was like, that's extreme. That's extreme. And he was like, no. Because biologically speaking, this is what I am. The black girl was like, I might as well say I'm a fox. I identify as a fox, I'm a fox. She's like, no, because you're not an animal, you're inhuman. She goes, exactly. Scientifically, I am not a fox. So no matter how much I identify as being the animal, I'm still a human. Likewise, you can be trans this. Yeah, you can identify. No one's saying that you can't identify. But biologically speaking, that's not what you are. You know? So anyway.
Then where do you recognize these people then, for example? Let's say, for example, it's like Scientist of the Year. Or maybe it's I think I've answered that question in and of itself. Because I said Scientist of the Year. Not male. But like, you know how they split things by gender. So if it was male Scientist of the Year and female Scientist of the Year, do you still recognize these people as their biological selves so that they can be recognized for their achievements in, you know what I mean, in the world? Because they'll almost fall into a vacuum.
No. Like, I think achievements, I think it depends on the profession and area. So like in sports, there's a difference between, because the sports is linked to your physiology, and physiology is biological. It's not the same for intellect. It's not the same for talent. It's not. Do you know what I'm saying? So it depends on the genre of whatever it is that is being, whatever. But no, I think, because I'll be honest, when I look at people and people watching, I identify them based on gender, based on race, things like that. So yeah, but I just don't see what is wrong with saying, just with it just being, I'm a transgender woman and that's it. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't mean that you should now change it and make everybody else have to pander to your whatever, you know? Like, you're still a woman. It's just that you're a transgender woman. And I'm a biological woman. We're not the same though. Because one is born with everything, XY chromosome, genetic, everything. The other one, it's man-made, it's scientific. We're not the same. And I feel no way in saying that. It doesn't mean that you have less rights.
At what point would you say that you're the same? Because there's curently
we're not the same. Apart from maybe how we look, maybe the only way that we would look the only place that we're the same is in the areas that you have gone and done your change. So you've gone and grown your hair out and you're wearing dresses now and you're dressing a certain type of way and you're taking hormones tablets so that you've got a bit more meat around the chest. You still don't have breasts. But you have meat around the chest. And your voice is a bit squeakier. Not all women have squeaky voices, but whatever. So in that sense, we're the same. But outside of that, we're not the same.
I believe it was India, I believe. But there's scientists in India that are researching and are very close to perfecting the ability to, implant, transfer. Well, I don't know what it would really be, but to transfer a womb from a biological woman into a trans woman, like successfully, so that they can.
I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about that.
So after that point, would that be
no
a woman?
Because it's still artificial. it was taken from a biological woman to be put into you, who is not a biological woman. So you might have it, but it's not yours. It was man-made. That's the point I'm trying to make. I don't think there's anything wrong with being able to say, I'm a transgender man. I'm not a biological man, I'm a transgender man. And I think there's nothing wrong with saying that. But it doesn't mean that you are in the broader sense, biologically, a man. You're not. If you were, you'd have been born that way. That's all. I think what I'm trying to say is that, one, believing that transgender people should have their own human rights, but just shouldn't try to have a say or right to the same rights as a biological woman doesn't mean that you're transphobic. Believing that someone shouldn't be given the same overall name. So being a transgender woman is not the same as being just a woman. Yeah. Believing in that doesn't mean that you're transphobic. It means that you're thinking. It means that you're thinking logically. That's what I think. Innit? I feel like when you start trying to do all the rest, you're thinking from an emotional standpoint. You're thinking about feelings. But science, things like my physical autonomy is down to science. It's black and white. There's no grey. There's no feelings about it. It is what it is. And I am a biological woman. That cannot be changed. A biological, a transgender woman that gets a womb from a biological woman and has that implanted in their body. Like I said, if they take the DNA of that transgender woman, it's going to come back and say, this is what they are, a biological man. It might say a biological man that's been tampered with, but it's gonna say biological man because that's your DNA, and I don't see what is so offensive about saying that.
No, I almost just realized now as well. I agree in that. I think in terms of the descriptor should be trans and not woman.
Yeah,
that's just a personal thing to me, though.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But in review of thinking about trans women speaking on women's rights, I'm now also seeing the other side of the coin, which is that assuming that this is not like an obvious trans woman, not that that makes a difference to them, but assuming that this woman is very much appearing as a woman and living a life as a woman because that's how they've identified themselves to be.
Yeah.
Then anything that affects women by virtue now affects them. So actually,
not necessarily.
That is the incentive for them to want to have a voice on
not necessarily
on issues pertaining to women.
I mean,
not necessarily, but
from an external standpoint, maybe, but not necessarily. There's transgender men out there that think that they have periods. Do you know how offensive that is to women that actually have wombs, that actually have real periods?
You mean transgender women?
Yeah, transgender women that think that they have periods because
that
they
me.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Even me, I didn't realize. I thought I said transgender woman. So when you was like, you mean? I'm like, it's not what I said, but I get it. No, but I understand. From my understanding of it, is because they take hormones. So they increase their estrogen, and estrogen is what causes a lot of women to have those PMS, like cramps, mood swings, etc. It's the increase in estrogen that does that, and because they've got an increase in estrogen, they're experiencing some of those symptoms that are linked to estrogen. But having a period isn't the PMS. The period is the menstrual thing. It's the actual stripping of the womb to dispose of the egg. That's what the period bit is.
Yeah.
And you can have, some women have periods without the PMS bit, but they still have periods. But you can't have, do you know what I mean? Unless you're like during menopause, you might have the PMS without the period, but more time, or you're on some sort of birth control, because sometimes birth control can trick your body into believing. Yeah, it does weird
stuff to like,
Some of them tricks your body into believing that you've ovulated and you're in constant ovulation. And so that's why you don't actually have a period, but you might still, the increase of estrogen estrogen is still there. So you'll still PMS, you just won't have a period and stuff like that. Don't want to go into the science of it, but anyway. So yeah, like, I actually saw your face flinch as well. I know guys find that stuff quite uncomfortable.
Oh. No, it's not. It's not too deep for me.
Your lips are like slightly.
Oh.
Yeah, slight, but it's okay. I won't go into it too much because it is a bit
No. I wouldn't even. No.
But like the actual period itself, it's biological women experience actual periods.
Mm-hmm.
And if so when a transgender woman says that they're experiencing it, it can be offensive because to some women, a period is very traumatic. I suffer. I don't know. I've not been diagnosed, but I'm going to go and get a diagnosis. But I get acute depression just before my period every single month. About 1 to 2 weeks before my period comes, I am more susceptible to suicidal thoughts. For example, I get really emotional. I'll be crying for no reason, depressed. I feel like my life is like, what is the point? Yeah. And every month it used to catch me off guard. It used to come and I used to feel like, oh, my anxiety's playing out. Like, I'll get really anxious. Yeah. So I used to think my anxiety's coming up. Like but then I started to track my periods, and then I clocked that there's a certain window just before my period where my mental state is it's like I'm almost a different person. And there's a condition for it. It's an actual condition. Now imagine you're hearing that biological women experience, by the way. It's something biological women experience. So imagine now, you experience that and there's a transgender woman telling you, I experience the same. No, you do not experience the same. You physically cannot experience the same because you're not a biological woman. Same thing with things like fibroids. It's another thing that biological women experience. PCOS, another thing that, cystic ovaries, all that stuff.
Okay, yeah.
That we experience to do with our reproductive system and stuff like that. So there's certain issues that transgender women will never, ever be able to say that they experience as well, or that they
when they're able to get the implanted womb, they might.
No, because I don't think that's even going to work, because I don't think their body will be able to host it like that.
Their hips shouldn't allow for actual birth because men's hips don't.
It's gonna.
They do not support
absolutely not. Are they gonna stick the
that's
ovaries?
A problem that you get to when you get
ovaries in there as well?
Spine.
Because there's problems with the gender reassignment operation. Like I said last time, when they create the vagina, it closes up all the time because biologically their body was not supposed to have a hole there in the first place. So there's certain things.
But with that womb, I think they're just doing the whole, obviously not the whole, but as much of it as possible.
Are they gonna transplant the hips and the whole section? Like, I would love to.
Well, the hips might be
see when I was saying that people are taking God's work into their own hands. What are you doing trying to rebuild people?
That's different.
That's different. It's not different.
I'm saying that is different from what I'm saying.
Oh,
that's not my calling.
Because that's crazy.
That's next level. But I did have a question though.
Okay, go on.
You probably won't know the answer, but I do want to see if you still have the app. You're saying you had that spiritual app that was supposed to tell you your cycle and stuff.
It's gone.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you remember the information or if you care to put it back in or whatever, but I just wondered if the app was saying that your cycle should be where this actual acute depression happens, as opposed to where your cycle really is.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about the universe?
Remember you said you had the universal app that was saying, your cycle's supposed to be here.
No, it doesn't pinpoint that. Because even though it takes gender
I'm saying, is the app saying that your cycle is where you're saying your actual acute depression is?
No.
Okay.
No. It didn't even acknowledge that was a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that would have been interesting. If you was like, and then they line up, you're like, oh.
No.
See?
No.
See it there?
No. Because I mean, even down to menstrual cycle, yeah, your menstrual cycle is very individual to you. Like some women have a 28-day menstrual cycle, some women have a 22-day menstrual cycle, some women have 21. Like it varies.
Some women have way
and then some people
more irregular.
Yeah, some they can't even pinpoint it month to month. Some people dead ass have 7 days worth of a period. Some girls.
I had a friend who didn't even have it every month.
I mean, some of us I definitely feel like, no offense if you're one of those women, but I feel like I'm God's favorite because I can tell you the day it's gonna start and it will start. So predictable. I can tell you the day it's gonna end. It's gonna end. Like it's very. And then on top of that, I've also blessed to have very short periods. It's almost like God was rewarding me. Like, okay, fair enough. You're going to be depressed for like a week before, but it's all right.
Wow.
It's 3 days, 4 days, and it's over.
Here's a reward for your depression.
Yeah, here's a reward. Like, let's balance it. Let's balance it small. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's crazy. So yeah, it was just an interesting conversation. And I know it's the same conversation that has been had about this, but I was just like, rah, this is exhausting. And actually, as a woman,
as a woman, why are you not cooking for your man? As a woman, guys get on my nerves, man. Tit for tat, it's crazy. Titty for tatty.
Titty for tatty. Did you get that from me? Because I used to say that.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I've said it before.
You just said tit for tat, and I just heard titty.
I've said titty for tatty before somewhere. This is what happens when you talk to someone for too long.
Yeah. There was one kind of list that came out on social media this week. I think released by the Metropolitan or something.
Okay.
Of like the most dangerous places to live in the UK. Did you happen to see it?
First of all, why is London not there? And how did Kent get there?
This is what I was going to say. London ain't even on the list.
I actually replied. I saw it. I think it was Shadeborough that posted it. And by the way, I think Shadeborough have actually come off Instagram temporarily. Because I saw there's some passa between them and a UK influencer. Yeah, and he's the one that done... Oh. Have you ever heard of that sound on TikTok? I can't escape, I can't come out. Mama, me can't escape, me can't get out. Mama.
Nah.
I need to send it to you. Basically, this guy, I don't know what he did or whatever, but they put him on Shadeborough because him and his boyfriend broke up.
Okay, right.
And they put it on Shadeborough. Internationals, especially Americans, you've got the Shade Room. In the UK, we have something similar called the Shade Borough, right? So, yeah. So they posted it on Shadeborough. Next thing you know, he was like, I'm going to file a copyright suit. I'm going to file a complaint. And he proper did it. And he posted the receipts from the email he got confirming that he's put his claim through. And next thing you know, I just see Shadeborough gone. Like, I don't follow them. I don't follow them like that. But I was like, oh, you know when you're like, oh, let me just go and pre a little. Because, you know, sometimes I'm a bit nosy. Let me go pre Shadeborough on Instagram. I didn't see them.
Gone.
They were nowhere to be found. I think it's got something to do with that. I can't remember the guy's name. If I do remember, I'll pop it down on the screen at the bottom. And I'll probably send it to you off camera. But anyway. So yeah, Shadeborough posted the list. And when they posted it, I was like, Kent. And it's so funny because my cousin saw my comment and she's like, sis, I was thinking the same thing because we've got family that lives in Kent, innit? And I'm thinking, of all places, Kent and London didn't make it. You're going to tell me Peckham didn't make it?
You know? Well, Peckham definitely different now, isn't it?
Because Peckham didn't make it. Brixton didn't make it now.
Yeah, they didn't make it.
Nowhere in South. I swear.
Nowhere in South.
Off the back of this, yeah, where do you think is the most dangerous place in London now? Because you know, back then it was Peckham or Brixton. Where would you say it is now?
Where's the most? Well. I'm going to assume. I'm going to assume that this list. It's because I'm learning the Yoruba and the English, and now I'm starting to do pidgin.
No, Amma is definitely American. It's got nothing to do with Africa.
Amma, I'm guessing it's the last year. So let's just call it 2022. Is what they're trying to say, because that can't be the all time. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not. But I'm not asking you about all time. I'm talking like today.
Yeah.
Currently.
So now, now,
what area do you think is the most dangerous in London? Right now.
probably somewhere north.
Okay, because you know what? I don't think North really. North. Okay, tell me where in North before I say what I'm gonna say.
Like Tottenham, Edmonton.
You know what?
That side.
I think you're right. Because the first place that came to my mind was Brixton.
Yeah, but I've been around there recently.
Because Brixton, whilst it's not really been gentrified. There's a lot more going on there. It has. There.
It has.
Not as much as like Peckham. Like when I like Prince of Peckham, like for example, when I went, I was like, it's not what it used to be. You wouldn't catch me in Peckham before by myself as a young woman. It's dangerous. But Brixton, after a while, I feel like Brixton can be dangerous after a while. I do think so. But when you said somewhere in North, I then realised that, you know that Wood Green?
Yeah, Tops in Wood Green.
Wood Green, Tottenham. That place ain't been gentrified like that.
That
place is still gangster.
It's still, you know what I mean? The prices are going up, but the market is still
the prices are going up everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's still the hood in North. I agree with you. I agree.
I reckon it's up there. But London didn't make it point blank.
That's crazy.
They said the most dangerous place was Cleveland.
I don't know where that is. I thought it was America. I was thinking
they
mix in America with, but
that's exactly what I thought.
I'm not going to lie to you. The most shocking place on the list for me was Kent. I said Kent.
I don't know Kent like that.
Not even Birmingham. Was Birmingham on the list? I'm just surprised that London didn't make it, or at least a part of London, like an area within London, didn't make it. It's somebody from London that made the list. Trying to give London a
good rep.
Yeah.
They're trying to... All right, wait, here's the thing.
I saw Kent and I said, Kent? And I think Kent's in the top 10, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, North Wales, Kent, Gwent, Humberside, South Yorkshire.
Are you reading this from 1 to 10?
No, this is just on Grime Daily. But it says these guys make up... numbers 10 to 6.
There you go. Kent.
In chronological order.
Kent,
you know?
It's still bamboozling me. I'm sorry. I was like, Kent.
Mad thing.
But you know what it is? Kent's on the outskirts of South London. You go if you
think it's the South people getting pushed out?
From where we are, we're in East, we've got to go through South to get to Kent. You know, once you start going over that Blackwall Tunnel, under the Blackwall Tunnel and then places there, you got to go through there to go to Kent, right? That means you're going through South automatically. I think most people have started to move out of London, innit? And then move into the greater, like, outskirts of London. Kent's on the outskirts of London, innit? If you're in South London, I reckon you're more likely to move into, like, Kent areas because it's closer to you. It's not London, but you can still get into London from Kent from that side. So, all the hood people that now can buy a house, they're buying it in Kent.
Well, buy a house, that might still be social housing, boy.
It might still be social housing.
Creating social housing in the Kent side.
In Kent. Because Kent? I said Kent. Anyway,
mad.
Crazy. I
wasn't ready for that list. That's all I can say.
I'm telling you
the
is...
number one came up and I said, I don't even know that place.
You can tell me, even till now, I'm still thinking about Kent. It's still like... Really? Okay, well, if that's what you
Kent
say.
and Gwent and Humberside.
Anyway.
And South Yorkshire.
Anyway. Have you seen?
Notice how it's not all of Yorkshire, though. It's South Yorkshire. You see how South is bad everywhere?
Right? There's bad in every area code, man. Like, from someone from East, Hackney used to be bad.
Hackney was rough.
And then when you move to North London, like you said, Tottenham, Wood Green, them areas, rough. South London, you got Peckham and Brixton used to be rough. It was West London. No. Northwest.
Northwest. Northwest. Northwest was problematic. But,
like Housden. Northwest,
yeah,
like Housden.
and Mary, not Maryland. Oh my God, I've lost the name of it. But all that way, yes. Just up there.
Northwest. Yeah, it was peak,
North
boy.
Wheezy.
Damn. Whew. Anyway, I guess thank God for gentrification, I guess.
I don't know.
I think every woman has pick-meism inside them. Every single woman has pick-meism inside them.
Of course, it's
If you are a heterosexual woman, I think automatically you're pick-me. You're even
I don't even think it only applies just for heterosexual women.
No,
I think it's
heterosexual because pick-meism is literally directly linked to I want to be picked by the guys, and it's either you're trying to come across as I'm gonna do me because you want to come across as the cool girl. You want to come across as the girl that's cool and don't really care about guys like that. But sis, even that in itself is self-righteousness, and you're trying to show that you're the better woman than the ones that don't.
And the other ones who are
which is a form of pick-meism. Yeah, it's a form of pick-meism. It's just not overt. Do you know what I'm saying? Or you've got the overt one that's like, no, whatever guys say, I'm going to say what they say because I want to be picked by the guys. I want the guys to like me. But either way, you're being some sort of pick-me. Do you know what I mean? In terms of what pick-me means. To me anyway, in my opinion. I don't want to say that's fact because some people get pressed by it. But like, I feel like, yeah, women have been conditioned for so long to the point where even when you think you're doing something and you think you're doing it for you, more time you're probably doing it for the male gaze and you didn't even realize that it's for the male gaze.
I think that's only because women, or rather feminism, is pushing a narrative of women without men as if we don't coexist. Like the experience of being human is a coexistence.
Yeah.
Men don't view themselves without women. Even when they say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do me, I'm gonna build up my business, it's so I can get a woman. Like we will say that. I'm gonna become the best,
and
biggest
they'll
boss.
say it bold and
so
bad.
that
Yeah,
I can,
bold and bad. Yeah.
We ain't got no problem.
Yeah.
We know exactly why we're doing what we're doing. But women try to do this thing where they think that they can exist without us. Which I think I'm also referring to heterosexual women. But and I'm like, but you can't. So just know what you're trying to achieve and then achieve it. But don't assume that you can do it in exclusion of men.
Yeah, but it's fine. Let them think.
Let them
carry on thinking like that. It's very, like I said, everything's like people that think like that is surface level. They're not really deep in it. Women are very competitive. Extremely competitive. That's why I said it's almost like that's why I said it's like it's a form of pick-meism. Like trying to be the I don't really care how guys see me. I just how I want to dress. You're trying to show that you're more laid back and you don't focus your life around men. Why? Because you're trying to prove that you're better than the women that do that. Why?
Because you want to get a man that's going to respect that.
Exactly. But you don't realize that you're doing it, so you're just
But it's that competitive nature is what I think is what I think is the problematic part for women. With regards to how they present in terms of of the dress.
I think in terms of everything, it's problematic. I feel like women, we are our own worst enemies. Like we don't come in solidarity. Like I can say something now, and if I'm saying something that doesn't align with the status quo on Twitter or TikTok, it's women that are going to come at me fast more than anything.
Yeah,
not the guys.
Do you know why though? You know, like how animals have like. Usually it's one sex that is the one that courts the other one, like tries to attract the other one for mating purposes, like for survival. In humans, I kind of think it's both, but I think it's women.
What do you mean?
So like there's like some bird, wait, I've got the name. Bird of paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bird called a bird of paradise, and the man is the one that attracts the woman. Like he attracts the mate. He has a dance. The dance is inherited from his father. If he's got the moves, the woman comes. If you ain't got the moves, she don't
She ain't
come.
interested.
Another bird, a boa bird. Again, it's the male. He builds a structure. It's kind of not like wings, but it's like 2 towers, isn't it? And he stands in it like a boss. If she likes the structure, that's her dude. He goes for it. I was trying to find bear, but I couldn't. Because I wanted to find some examples of women. The only one I could find was the baboon. Where when they get fertile, you know, the pom-pom just swell up. And that's how she attracts the man.
Sorry.
Pom-pom fat, you see? And the man just see it like egg. So in those scenarios, it's like it's either the male or the female. I wanted to get some more females. I didn't. But I think in humans, I think it's the female because women attract men.
Yeah.
I think men do what like these birds do in terms of like a man tries to build the structure. A man tries to learn the dance. But I think the women also do that whole the baboon thing. And I think that's the part where because there's no like limit to it, because we're equals and we're not misogynist, we're not trying to, you know what I mean? We're not trying to impose upon you. Everyone is just trying to have a standard. But because women are independent, then women are independent, you are in charge of yourselves, then there's literally no limit. The sky is the limit. And because women are competitive, because this is what this is, it's a competition. You're fighting with the other people in your sex for the attraction of the other. But, you know, as society's progressed, there's no limit. If I don't have big lips, I can fill them. If I don't have big tits, I can buy them. So there's no limit to how you can become the sexual woman to appeal to the man that you're trying to appeal to. So that's why I'm like, yeah, the fact that you guys are, in my opinion, from this small bit of research that I did, the ones who are trying to attract, and I can see you're competitive as hell, and there's technology there to facilitate this in a not helpful way. I don't feel like the end outcome will ever become anything good.
I agree with you to an extent. I think that back in the day, it was exactly how you said it is for the rest of the animal kingdom, or the majority of the animal kingdom. Because back in the day, you would be in your mum and dad's house, and guys will come to your house and try and present their case as to why they should be your husband. And that's how it used to be. The moment feminism came into the game, and let's just be frank, it made women equal to men. It made women equal to men in all facets of life, including relationship. And as we've moved forward, what we've got now is we've got a few things into play in, but mainly speaking, we've got women in droves, I think, who are single, who are not getting guys coming to present themselves to them in that way. And so women are having to find other ways to try and get guys to pick me, see me, find me, like me. And that competitiveness has grown as feminism has grown. Because now it's like, okay, not only can there was a time when women were proud to try and do everything, be superwoman. I want to know how to cook, clean. I want to be sexy. I want to have loads of kids, and I want to work and make a lot of money. Now we're moving into a world where it's like, either I want to be independent or I want to make loads of money. And those that are in the middle are being looked down on. So it's almost like the competition is still there, or it's getting bigger, but what it is that makes you the top girl, the head, the queen bee has changed. And simultaneously, we've got men who are almost being encouraged to be less masculine and more feminine, and want to be picked. They want to be chased. They want to be pursued. They want to be proved to. They want to be proved to. And so, and given the fact that it feels like, and again, I could be biased because I am a single woman, but it feels like there's way more women than there are men, right? It feels that way. So it's kind of like, okay, the competition is more fierce because there's way more women than there are men. Or it comes across as there's way more attractive women.
I think that's the truth.
To attractive men. So there's still, because I think when you talk about population, it's like almost 50-50.
It's 50-50.
Almost 50-50, by like a point something, right?
Yeah, it'll be decimals out, but yeah.
But in Yeah, and I guess that's world population. If we were to make it more local, it probably is less, to be fair. It probably isn't 50-50. But in terms of like attractive women or desirable women versus desirable men, it feels like there's way more desirable women. And so that's causing competition.
So I heard this thing about like how and again, it's averages, but I think it was like to a man, like 10% of the women he would deem attractive.
I think,
and then you could just assume that at most 50% of them would find you attractive back.
Mm-hmm.
But
to women, I think it's 1%.
How you think it's 1%? I think it's definitely lower for women. I think it's 1%, for sure.
It's 1%.
But then on top of that, I think that even though men would say, let's say, find 10% of women attractive, I think because of how much technology is available, I think that there's probably an additional 10% who actually aren't really attractive to that man, but they've made themselves to be. And a lot of the time, they will end up taking that man because they're more competitive and they also know that they're not as attractive as they present.
I don't know. I just think that, I don't know about all of that because...
Do you know what I mean? I'm talking about with like surgeries, makeup.
No, the reason why I don't know, know about all of that is because I don't have the figures and stuff for me to say conclusively that
No, it's not conclusive.
But yeah. I think that just as a single woman with the experience that I have in terms of what is around me, with, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The experience that's within my reach. I do think that there's a lot more women who that fit into what is desirable than men.
Yeah, and of course.
I think what's happening is that's where the whole men have this feeds into the argument I had ages ago when I said women don't have as much choice as you think, because what women deem as the creme de la creme, there's not a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
What guys deem as the creme de la creme, there's a fraction or a ratio more than what, do you know what I mean?
I think what men deem as the creme is a lot broader.
There's a lot more of it than...
No, as in men accept more. There's more tolerance that men give to women than what women give to men.
I don't know about that. I actually don't know about that. Because the reason 100%. Why I say that is because I think guys are a lot more, if she doesn't fit, I don't want her. Women compromise way more.
No, I think that's when they're picking up there. When they're going for Miss Baddie, they're like, nah, if I'm going for a baddie, there's no room for error. But if I'm just going...
No, I think when it comes to relationship, I genuinely think when it comes to relationship, not dating, not sex, relationship, I think guys do not compromise. If there's something he doesn't like about you, he relegates you to maybe she's just a beat. She's not my girlfriend. She's not good enough. You can be the baddest baddie ever, but if you've got something about your personality that doesn't fit what he's looking for in a partner, he just won't make you his partner. He'll just be like, okay, this is someone to pursue for sex or someone to pursue for casual dating or whatever. But my girl, this is the standard. So I don't agree with you in that respect. Whereas girls, we might have a standard, but I don't know. Maybe maybe she's realized that there's not that many people that fit that standard, that are even available, that might not even want her back. The guys that are about, this is where they're at. Okay, I can compromise, I guess. I'm lonely. He fits this. Okay, I can and women, because we're more in tune with our feelings and we lead with our feelings, even if he's showing red flags, because the others are so strong, she'll turn a blind eye to the red flag. So actually, I think women are more likely to overlook things and compromise than men are. When it comes to relationship, 100% women, 100%. We will overlook.
I don't think so.
You don't have to think so. I'm just letting you know my opinion. And I genuinely think that, especially when you start talking to women who've been heartbroken and they'll tell you, oh, do you know what? I knew that this guy was a narcissist, for example, but I ignored it because I wanted him so bad. Why? Because XYZ, other things were aligning. So I overlooked this to have that. I don't think guys do it like that. I think guys...
No, they just look at her and be like, no, she's beautiful.
Yeah, but...
And she's nice.
She's nice, but when it comes to relationship, why do you think a lot of guys struggle to commit? They've met loads of beautiful women. They probably had sex with loads of beautiful women, but she's not hitting what there's something he wants.
Yeah, it's usually a mentality thing.
Yeah, she doesn't have it. So he's like, yeah, she could be as pretty, as sexy, as she's the baddest, pom-pom can be the fattest, sex could be the baddest, but I'm not going to make her my girl because she doesn't have the mindset that I'm looking for. So men don't compromise. No matter how.
Mindset. No, I think men go for a mindset.
No, you're trying to do semantics. I'm saying
I'm not doing semantics.
When I'm talking,
I'm saying that men are definitely more flexible than women.
Men are not more flexible. When I'm telling you about the 10% of women, when you're saying, oh, you think that 10% of women is what men want, I'm talking about looks, mindset, everything, full package, 100% package. Yeah. Women have less of that 100% package available to them, but we'll compromise for 90%. Men don't compromise. Mindset is involved in part of the package. Yeah, you could be paying, but if you don't have the mindset, I'm not going to wife you, period. That means men are not flexible. They'll just relegate you to somewhere else. Okay, she can't be my woman, but she's here for a good time, not a long time. That doesn't make them more flexible. That just means that I'm talking solely relationship. I'm not talking about all the other types. Guys are not more flexible. They're not. And women are trying to date like men. Women are like, you know what? I'm not going to compromise. If I want something, if I want a mindset, if I want a type of guy, I'm not going to compromise because men don't compromise. And another reason why women are doing that is because some women think that they are that person. They think that they're 100%, and a man did not compromise for them. And so they realize that a lot of guys that I've been dating, they didn't compromise for me, and I think I'm the creme de la creme. That's a whole nother conversation. That means that some people are not valuing themselves properly. What they think is it, they're not quite meeting it. They're walking around delusional. So now, guys have not chosen them. And then they're like, oh, guys don't compromise, because he didn't even choose me. They didn't even choose me, and I think I'm the shit. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to start dating like guys now. Me too, I'm not going to compromise. Right? So yeah, I can see why you might say men are more flexible, but I can tell you for free, I don't think guys are flexible, man. I think guys, they know what they want, mindset included. If you don't hit all of it, they're not going to wife you, period. They'll just use you for something else. You just have another use for you. Whereas girls, she might say all that she wants to say from now till forever, that she wants a guy to be rich. Then she meets this guy, over 6 foot, tick, he hits height. He makes me laugh, tick, he's got personality. He treats me nicely. He treats me romantically. He doesn't have the money like that, but he picks me up on dates. He buys me flowers randomly. He pays for my stuff. Next thing you know, she's forgetting that he's not on 100K. He's not a 6-figure guy that she originally had on her list. That's how flexible girls are. We'll overlook things. Or worse. I
don't know. That's not. That's not what I'm seeing. It's not what I'm seeing right now on the socials.
Or worse. Money, maybe money's not the right one to use. Maybe it's, I want a man with money, but I also want a man who doesn't cheat on me, who treats me with respect. But because he's got the money, she overlooks the respect.
And the cheating.
Because everything else is connected correctly. That's a better example. Did she not compromise then? Because she did. It's just the value that she placed on the money is higher than the value that she placed on respect. A guy can say, I want my girl to have the biggest bunda in the world. The biggest bunda. But she has to respect me. The girl that has the big bum might disrespect him one day and he'll be like, you know what, I can't wife her. But the girl that has a smaller bum, because she respected him, he'll probably go for her. And that's what I mean by men, they don't compromise on what they consider to be important. Some women probably would, if other things are connecting. And it's all down to what they value. It's all down to what they value. But yeah, I think back in the day, definitely men were the ones that would present themselves, and women would just be like almost like a regal creature, princess. And the guy will come and he'll be like, I got all of these, I got all this money, I got all this, that.
Look at all that I've built.
This is the life I can give you. This is the life I can give you.
I built all of this. And then
she'll be there going, that one is making slightly more, this one, okay, now, okay. Or they're all making the same time, okay, which one is more good looking, and women will start picking. Or their family will help them to pick because,
the family would definitely
now we've created competition within ourselves because we've told ourselves that we're the same as men, and that's caused
now you're not even in there with the family doing up princess lifestyle. Now you're out in the streets.
We're out in the streets trying to
fighting each other.
Yeah.
Because you ain't got no structure. Yes. And that's my point, is why have women not created a structure that serves them better than what they hated that came from men?
I don't think the original feminists ever foresaw that this is the world that we would live in now. I think that they were literally fighting for equal rights in certain areas, education, employment, voting. They weren't. Feminism has turned into something completely new now. I don't think they were looking. I don't think they ever fathomed that we would reach a point where it is now, in the way that it is now. And yeah, I think that's what it is.
I think it's one of them ones where you make a mistake. Not that I'm saying feminism was a mistake, but where you make a mistake, or at some point you realize you've made a mistake, like it's gone too far, because you can't end feminism.
No,
so you just have to keep running with the baton. No, but I mean, like, as in, you can't say, boom, we've achieved what we wanted to achieve.
But they haven't.
Like, let's chill.
And then, do you know what's funny? They haven't achieved what they have. Because we've got women in Yemen who don't have a right to anything. There's women around the world that don't have the equality that we have here in the Western world. It's just that as they're still fighting for that, we're still running. But we're running to where exactly? That's the only problem. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, yeah. And in the Black community, a lot of people are walking around uneducated. Calling things...
In what sense?
Calling things feminism, or coming up with ideas and theories and ways of life and beliefs and running with it, and people are following it without really sitting down and thinking about it. Like, okay, this thing that I'm believing in, to what end? I'll take the Men Are Trash movement, for example. On the face of it, it might sound like it's a good idea to tell guys that they're trash, but you're the same women that are now single. And men don't want you. Because it gets extreme. So, and then you're crying that guys are acting a certain type of way. They're sassy, they're this, they're that. Men are now fighting for their own voice. Because you started it. You started it by saying that men are trash. You started painting every man with the brush of the minority. And then and now men are now
and the brush of your bad experiences.
Or sometimes it's not even your experience.
Sometimes
somebody else's experience, and you've now added your own 2 pence, and you've made it your business. And then now that men are fighting for themselves, you're calling them sassy in return. But what do you expect them to do? Sit there and take it? Like, especially when you think about the fact that men have been so used to having a say and being the ones that decide, and then you're now telling them, you lot are trash. You think they're going to take that line down? No, they're not. They're going to say what they want to say. And then you're now going to in turn say what you want to say. Last week I spoke about that conversation around my phrase as a man it shows, and the men got triggered, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Upon reflection, I still think what I said was fine. I'm not ever going to take it back. Not on this occasion. However, it made me think a lot more deeper about how did we get here? And fundamentally, men are fighting and talking more because we asked them to, or we baited them to. Now they're talking more, you're saying they're sassy, they're feminine. But we started it.
Why are they doing that podcast? Oh, because they need to talk about all of the things that are now happening in the world.
Yeah, because women have been women, we've had podcasts, it just wasn't recorded for time. Go to a hairdresser, says women are talking. Girls get together, girly nights in. What do you think we're doing? We're talking. We're just not recording it and broadcasting it anywhere. And then and then as soon as we had Twitter, and women are now doing it on Twitter, talking and tweeting. What do you think the guys are going to do? They're butthurt. Of course they're going to come out and start talking. And then now and you know what's mad, yeah? The dating scene is not going to change until two things happen. First, we need to get out of hookup culture. But we're not going to get out of hookup culture until men and women start talking to lift each other up. And start listening to actually understand, not listening to prove a point or argue for their gender. And until the genders come together in unison and come together and they're cool, it's gonna forever lead to can't trust men, can't trust women. So because we can't trust each other, what do? We're just gonna hook up. We're not gonna get into anything. We're not gonna allow ourselves to get deep and get into a relationship. That's the two things that's gonna fix. The two things that's gonna fix.
Those are impossibilities though.
We've gone too far.
Yeah, genders seeing eye to eye is impossible because if in fact we're even fracturing into more genders. If you see what I mean.
God, yeah.
So it's you can't you can't.
The Bible said this would
it's-
happen. The Quran said this would happen. Sorry to bring faith, but I have to bring it.
Yeah, really.
Part of the end, part of the signs of time coming to an end as we know it is men and women not working in unison and fighting and trying to fight their own corner.
And not realizing that they are literally two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, literally declining relationship. It's a battle of relationship.
This is, you know what? I wish there was like an us, but we need to branch out in it. We need to be doing like Unpicked Nigeria, Unpicked Ghana. But I would love to speak to basically our equivalents in non-Western cultures to know how things are at the ground level.
Things are still. Do you know what's funny? It's like, obviously, I'm very in touch with my culture, and a lot of the content I see actually is from podcasters from, say, Nigeria, for example. They have dating issues as well, but that's because those cultures are heavily influenced by the Western world. They look up to the Western world. So what they're seeing in the Western world is influencing them.
They kind of emulate,
So it's not great over there either.
Yeah, men are trash, oh. Just happens.
And
I can imagine.
You know what?
But that's what I want to
The awareness of nowadays, like, is mad. To an extent, you say that knowledge is power. I say that knowledge is power, but that sort of power causes demise. Because now we've got people who are hyper aware of everything. And because you're hyper aware of everything, you're making decisions based on that. And a lot of the time you're isolating yourself and stopping yourself from having community and relationship because of everything that you know. People are not taking as many risks as they were in terms of like meeting someone, getting to know them, getting into a relationship. Now it's like, I'm very happy to risk my sexual health or my mental health by just doing hookup culture, not realizing.
It's because it's like, if you're gonna get into a relationship with someone, then you know you're gonna have to take pictures and maybe post them online and there's a whole yeah. But I mean, dating someone it's a much bigger deal, I think, now than it has ever been, because there's people who I've dated in the past when social media was not such a thing, or people who I've hooked up with but like thought, they might be a potential partner, that I wouldn't necessarily have wanted to do all of that whole posting malarkey with them, because I wasn't 100% sure. I was just going in to see like, what type of person is this? I don't think there's that room for experimentation so much, because
no, there is.
There's almost I feel like there's a negative connotation of you don't post me.
Nah,
I'm not official and all of that kind of stuff.
People are having official relationships and not posting each other because you don't have to. You've got people that don't buy into social media. They don't believe in posting my life on social media. Hi, I'm one of them. If you go on my Instagram, I can't remember the last time I actually posted. This year, I can't remember the last time I actually posted. I haven't posted nothing this year. Especially since we've got Unpicked as its own Instagram. Yeah. I haven't posted nothing. People are even messaging me. People that know me are like, damn, we've not seen you. Like, is everything okay? Everything is fine. I just don't think to post my life online. Anything I post online, more time, it's a past. It's something that happened already. It's not real time. You know, my feed is dead. The last thing on my feed is an Unpicked thing before we have the Unpicked podcast. I don't post like that. You might be lucky if you see a story, and even then it might be another meme or something that I found funny. It's not of me. It's not of my life. No one knows what's going on. But then you've got some people that post everything online, right? So there's a spectrum. And if you're if you're in a relationship with someone that doesn't post things, then you might not want to post. There's also the idea of, if you post things, people have evil eye. So I'm not going to post it because I don't want people to ruin it. So I'm just going to keep it to myself. There's people not posting because if they post it, then their women are going to come in their DMs as a woman and tell them that their man has been with them. Ooh. There's loads of guys that don't want to post their girl because they're cheating. They've got other girls and they don't want the other girls to know that. There's a whole host of reasons why people are not posting. But I think that's a very minuscule part of the bigger picture. The bigger picture is people don't trust each other anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
People are focusing on the negatives a lot more. People are too busy trying to fight their opinion and their corner than to listen to the other side and understand the other side. And they've been pushed into doing that because for so long people have tried to understand each other, I think. But because now you're almost forced to listen to other people are trying to fight back. It's like similar to like the LGBTQ conversation we originally had, where you said people should have choice to agree or disagree. And right now it feels like you don't have a choice. When people are pushed into a corner and there's nowhere to go, what do? They explode.
Yeah, they fight.
Yeah, so people are fighting. So you're hearing a lot more outrageous things and people are not taking time to listen because they feel like they've had to listen for so long. So now they're like, fuck.
Again, as well, because there's no figureheads as well.
And now it's like, F you. I'm just going to do I'm going to say what I want to say and I don't want to hear your side. I don't want to know. I don't care. You need to hear what I have to say. That Twitter feed, that Twitter thread, after what I said, when I read through what people were saying to each other, I was like, rah, people are just fighting to be heard and they're not listening to understand each other anymore. So how can we have community and relationship if people are not listening to understand? People are just listening to argue their point.
Yeah, this is a general thing as well. Yeah, culturally.
Yeah.
Because I had this post that I replied on a post. There was a post of this guy, like not a meme, but just one of them silly videos, and it was basically this black guy who is gay, living in Jamaica, or he was saying he was Jamaican, but he wasn't. He had a strong African accent. So I said, that guy is definitely not Jamaican. And I think I said he's Nigerian. Because his accent, he spoke like this guy, a friend of mine, who's gay and Nigerian. And he has a very particular way of speaking. Yeah. So I was like, this guy sounds exactly like my guy. Anyway, he wasn't Nigerian. Right at the end of the video, he said something in Tree, I'm guessing, which lets people to think that he's Ghanaian. So anyway, my comments there. Someone replied, oh, no, I don't think he's Nigerian. I think he's Ghanaian. And I was like, oh, is it? Because I have a friend who sounds literally exactly like this guy. And she's like, no, he speaks such and such language right at the end of the video. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Every day, ever since, someone is commenting on this thing. Oh, no, he's Ghanaian. He's Ghanaian. Oh, no, he's Ghanaian. He's not Nigerian. He's Ghanaian. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's in you can see it. I said it, and then someone says, no, he's Ghanaian. Like, that's the first comment. This thing has like 50 comments of people telling me this guy is Ghanaian. I'm like, guys, why are we here? This conversation has already been had, but everyone is so concerned with, I've got to tell this person
I need to argue my
this
point.
Guy is not, I'm like, I'm not arguing with anyone. I said, I thought, and then this person told me where. I've seen it. I'm like, oh, cool.
Part of the reason why we've come to that point is because we, like, having this podcast has exposed us to people feeling that they have to try and prove us wrong for our opinions. So we've both come to a point where we're like, you can fight amongst yourself. I don't need to argue with you. I believe what I believe, and that's that. You can believe what you believe, and that's that. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to explain myself. We've spoken for an hour and a bit. If you want to hear more about what we had to say, watch the episode. That's that, yeah. But a lot of people out there don't have the outlet to do that, haven't come to that realization. And everyone feels like they're an expert in something. And like I said a few weeks ago, they don't realize that everyone's just got opinions that they're sharing. And you can learn a lot from listening to somebody else's opinion. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, everyone right now on social media, I don't think not everyone, but those people that like to argue their point and not listen, they're just not taking the time to understand another perspective or listen to the other side. They're just in their thing so deep and they feel like almost convicted to fight to the end for that.
Literally.
For that thing. But yeah, no, it's very interesting. For one, I miss the days where guys, because the way the dating scene is now, it wasn't always like this. I remember when I was like single properly beforehand, and this was like over a decade ago now. The last time I was...
What is that? Sorry, what does that mean?
When I was...
Single properly?
Yeah, like as in like not dating anyone, not talking to anyone, just like single. 10 years ago.
So you're talking to someone? Because this is what you're insinuating.
What, right now? That's none of y'all's business. 10 years ago, the dating scene was different to what it is now. So when I'm talking about like before my long-term relationship, before the guys I was seeing before my 1 year hiatus, that was 10 years ago, the dating scene wasn't as it is now. Even then, it was still very much like, it was a little bit of girls thinking guys are whatless and stuff, and feminism was still there, but guys still pursued girls in the way that you're saying. Do you know what I mean? And girls still like, you know, now it's like, I don't know. And 10 years ago, there was Twitter, but it wasn't how it is now. There was no TikTok. Instagram was a new thing.
it was different, man.
It was a different time. I say 10 years.
And the thing is, you can't blame any of these things for this shit.
Maybe more like 12 years ago. I'm talking, not 10. Yeah. So like, it's a different... And I'm still stuck in that old time. So I'm like, I don't understand this era of... Like, even online dating sites, yeah, they've just become places to hook up. Like, you can't expect to meet someone serious online, on any online dating app, site.
I don't think I would, though. I tried, and then I quickly realized that. And this was at the beginning when it hadn't cemented itself as a hookup place. I just tried, and I was like, oh, she's hot. No. Okay, cool. She's hot. No. She's hot. But this is definitely not like, well, you're... Okay, cool. And I was like, this is dead. Because if it's a hookup thing, I definitely much prefer to just meet people like out, because I'm attracted to the whole package. So if I'm seeing you, I already see the aura. I know that I'm interested or not. I don't need to see a pretty face, then meet you and be like, that's not the energy. Like, it's very particular.
I mean, everyone's particular, Venom. You're nothing special.
What, you
not in a rude way. But that's
you
how most people...
You heard it, guys. You heard it,
no,
guys.
I'm just saying, you know, because like that's how most people move, innit? Like...